Well, hey, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the channel. I'm, of course, John Campea, and this is John Campea After Dark. Now, do me a favor, guys. Let me know. This is the first live stream that I've done here from home. I've got a new little home setup here that I'm trying out. So, are you guys able to see and hear me okay? Just let me know if you are. If everything's okay, because like I said, I'm not totally sure. I'm kind of hoping this all works well. And you guys are saying yes, you can see and hear me okay. All right. Well, then it's good to have you guys here. Thanks for joining me for this little after dark thing, and we're just gonna chat for a bit tonight. Obviously tomorrow I'm gonna be leaving for D23 in Anaheim. And I will be on the John Campea Show tomorrow for a little bit, and then I'll be off to Anaheim and stuff like that. I just finished watching some football tonight and watching Lord of the Rings, and so I thought I'd give a quick explanation and then take your guys' questions. And a bunch of you guys have already been firing in a bunch of questions. Thought I'd talk for a second about why I wasn't on the show earlier this morning. So I did put up a post in the community tab for a bit. So I'll just explain what happened. So we were literally about 30 seconds away from starting the show. Like, we were in the final countdown. We were all set and ready to go. And that's when the news came out that Queen Elizabeth had died. Now, here's the thing. You guys know I'm Canadian. No, John, seriously? You've never mentioned that you're Canadian. Yeah, I know. So I am Canadian. And the Queen is... The Queen is technically the head of government of the Canadian government, and her representative, the Lieutenant Governor, is her representative of the Canadian government and all that kind of stuff. We're an independent country, but she's still figurehead of our government. And I grew up, actually, there were a couple of years when I was in school that I was kind of my dream to become the Lieutenant Governor. In Canadian Parliament and all that kind of stuff. And so I mean, the Queen has been the monarch since I've been alive. Like, that's crazy. And so when she died, it was kind of like, to me, it was like the Robin Williams thing. Like, I never knew Robin Williams, right? I just watched a hell of a lot of his stuff. I was a fan. I enjoyed so much of his work in my life. And when he died, if you guys remember the AMC movie talk we did the day he died, I didn't realize I would be emotionally shaken a little bit by him dying. I mean, I never knew Robin Williams, but when he died, I was kind of shaken. Anyway, I'm no big royal fan or anything like that. My wife kind of is, but I'm not some big royal fan. But so 30 seconds before the show started, I get that news that the Queen died. And if you had told me last week that, hey, in a week the Queen's going to die, do you think you're going to be emotional about it? I would have said, well, that sucks, but I wouldn't be emotional about it. But 30 seconds before the show started, I realized I felt kind of crappy. Like, I realized that it did have an emotional impact on me, and I wasn't expecting that. And I guess it's because, like Robin Williams, I spent a lot of my time when I was younger, I kind of thought about a lot of this stuff. Anyway, she'd been the Queen my whole life and all that kind of stuff. And so I realized I was feeling kind of crappy. And I didn't think that in 15 seconds, because now it was like 15 seconds before the show started, I didn't think I could start the cameras and go, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie related show. You know what I mean? I didn't feel like I could muster that. And so I made the decision that, you know what? It's probably just going to be best for the show today if I'm not on it. And we had Chris there and we had Amy there, and obviously Ray was there, and our producer, Jonathan Voico, was there. So I knew they'd be able to run the show with them. So I thought, you know what? It's probably a good... Like, if I had found out the Queen had died, like, an hour and a half before the show started, it wouldn't have been a problem. But for whatever reason, I just found myself feeling kind of emotional, and I just decided not to do the show. But anyway, that's why I wasn't on the show earlier today. So, yeah, a couple other things. I didn't get a chance to talk about She-Hulk. Episode What was She-Hulk? Was that episode 3 or 4 that we saw last night? Oh, that was episode 4 we saw last night. I didn't have a chance to talk about episode 4 of She-Hulk. Didn't like it. Gotta be honest with you, didn't like it. The one thing, there were two things I did appreciate in the episode. One was, I thought it was one of the most awesome things when they cut to Carmitage and we see Wong, and then you hear that music and you're like, is that Sopranos? And you realize Wong is watching Sopranos. It's like, okay, that's like one of the greatest things any comic book show has ever done. Wong was sitting at home in Carmitage watching Sopranos. I thought that was awesome. I love that. The other thing I liked was, I hated, what was the girl's name? Madison with 2 N's and a Y, but not where you think it is. See, here's the thing. That girl annoyed me, but the thing is, I realize I know girls like that. Like Ann and I specifically, we have a friend in our life that is totally that girl. But she kind of annoyed me most of the episode, but I don't know why. But in the post-credits scene, when it's just her and Wong hanging out and they're talking about drinks, I don't know why. I suddenly felt like I can watch an entire episode of just these two hanging out together. Wongers. So yeah, I thought it was the worst episode of the season. And it's the first episode of She-Hulk that I straight up didn't like. Like the whole magician thing, that was stupid. And anyway, but I did like those two things about it. Let's see. So I just watched the 3rd episode of Rings of Power. I mean, Rings of Power has definitely gotten a lot better since the first episode, which I didn't like very much. I didn't like the first episode very much, but I did like episode 2, and I like this episode as well. But my God, this show is a slow burn, like a really slow burn, like an excessively slow burn, an unnecessarily slow burn. Like I feel like all the key things, like, and I mean this honestly, I don't mean this in hyperbole, but I really feel like they could have taken all the key major, they could have done these 3 episodes in 2. I really do. I really feel like they could have done these 3 episodes in 2 episodes. And they could have accomplished all the things, because there's some really good things happening. Like Galadriel tonight going through the archive in Numenor was great. I love that. The whole thing at the Orcish work camp, I thought that's all great. I like the idea of the migration of the Harfoots. That's all great, but everything just takes way too long in this show. So I'm feeling like the pace is starting to pick up a little bit, and I'm on board. I'm in. But it's an excessively slow burn. Anyway, so that's my thoughts on all that. And hey, what I tell you guys about the Bills? I told you the Bills were going to win tonight. I told you what they are my pick for the Super Bowl this year. They are. I don't see it. Not Kansas City, not Tampa Bay, not Green Bay, not the Rams. I don't see anybody stopping Josh Allen this year. Like that, he got ripped off last year, and I don't think they're going to be denied this year. I think the Bills win the Super Bowl this year. But anyway, that's all me. Okay, so now let's spend the rest of our time here tonight going over. It's after dark. We're just going to hear from you guys, talk about the things you guys want to talk about. So let's go over and start things off here, and we are going to start off with Cutter Hale, who says, great way to kick off my 10-day vacay. Love that we get a new Campea After Dark. Who wins Saturday night in the UFC? I got Diaz. I'll tell you what, Cutter, you're insane if you think Diaz has even a prayer in that fight. Diaz has, like, it's not just that he's an underdog. Like, everybody in the MMA world knows that they've screwed him by putting him in there he has no chance against. And I love Nate Diaz. I do. But let's be real. He has no chance. None. Zero chance. The only chance he has is if the dude's walking up the steps to come into the ring, accidentally trips, falls down, and busts his face over on the steps. That's the only chance Nate Diaz has of winning this fight. Other than that, no other prayer whatsoever. All right. Next up, Cutter also writes, who is the one artist you've always wanted to see in concert but never had the chance to? For me, it's 21 Pilots, and that changes Tuesday. I'm so excited. I don't know. I don't know really that I've got any one artist that I always wish I could have gone. I mean, I've U2's my all favorite band, my all time favorite band, and I've had a chance to see them a few times. Um, I don't know. Maybe Guns N' Roses. I think maybe seeing not that they're one of my favorite artists, but I always thought seeing Guns N' Roses show would have been pretty cool. All right, let's see. James Belinsky writes, I went to see Top Gun Maverick. I went to see Top Gun Maverick on my birthday in Dolby. I was the only one in the theater. I felt like Nicole Kidman. I like it. It was fun. Listen, there is nothing better than watching a really cool movie in a packed theater filled with other people. It's an amazing thing. But every once in a while, it is pretty fun when you go into a movie theater and it is just you and you realize you've got the theater all to yourself. By the way, you might notice every once in a while the camera will shake. That's because everything's set up on this desk. And when I touch the desk, it shakes the camera. What do you want? It's my home setup. So forgive me when the camera shakes. All right. Let's see. Next up, that was James. Now we're at Josh C. who writes, did the Black Adam trailer remind you a little bit of the first Deadpool movie? X-Men / JSA are dispatched from similar looking mansions to either stop or mend the ways of a super anti-hero. No, I mean, you're not wrong in that assessment, but I personally didn't get any sense of it. I'll be honest with you. I'm kind of disappointed in the trailer, and I'm sure we'll probably talk about it more on the John Campea Show tomorrow, but it's just the same thing. They still have not even begun to tell us what's the movie even about. Like, I get it. The JSA is going, oh, there's this new rogue element, this Black Adam. Well, we go, okay, clearly that's all probably the first act of the movie. Obviously, at some point, Black Adam and the JSA are going to team up and work together to fight against something else. But we still don't even know what that is. We have no real sense of what the movie is. Like, honestly, I don't know a single another thing about Black Adam than I did after watching the first trailer. This was trailer number 3. They call it trailer 2, but this is trailer number 3. And I don't know a single thing about, I don't know why they haven't given me a reason to feel excited for this movie yet. And I've been pumped and excited for them doing this Black Adam movie for years. But yeah, it's like, okay, a new trailer. Now they're going to tell us what the movie's about, and they still didn't do it. And I'm kind of disappointed in it, to be honest with you. But keep my fingers crossed. Hopefully the movie will be great. All right. Remmer Bulldog writes, I missed the late night after dark video. Well, here we are anyway, Remmer. I kind of missed doing these. I was glad I had some free time tonight to do it. Remmer also writes, any chance we get an Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantum teaser, or is it too early? I think it is too early. That said, I wouldn't be surprised if they showed us a little bit of footage or something. I wouldn't be surprised at all if they at least gave us a little bit of footage. Maybe a quick little 30-second sizzle, because they do like to drop a lot at these D23. I mean, like I said, the last D23, they just like bombarded us with stuff. So I'm not going to sit here and predict that they will do anything with Ant-Man, but I wouldn't be surprised if they did. Maybe not a trailer, but at least something a little bit. Probably at least a little something. All right, Ben Rayner writes, we know the crew's thoughts on the new She-Hulk, but what did you think of the latest episode? Yeah, I mentioned it a little bit earlier, Ben. It's the first episode that I straight up didn't like. Couple of things about it that I really liked. There were a couple of moments that I laughed out loud and whatever, but overall, it was like for those of you who are WWE fans, I don't know if any of you guys in the live chat right now watch WWE, but the magician, when they go to court, when did Paul Heyman become a lawyer? Come on. If you follow come on. I can't be the only guy who is thinking, why is this guy like a total Paul Heyman character? The guy's thing, right? So that guy says, so yeah, it's the first episode that I straight up didn't like, unfortunately. Hopefully the other ones are better. All right. Let's see. Let's keep going on here. I'm glad to see in the live chat that I'm not the only one who thought he was just like Paul Heyman. Okay. What do we got up here next? We got Casey Mack who writes, thinking about going to see Batman tonight, but I just couldn't find a late show for it. tonight. Seems like the theaters close early on Wednesday. Oh, not Batman, Barbarian. Sorry, this is what happens. You try to read over too quick. It seems like the theaters close early on Wednesday nights. I will have to avoid spoilers for one more day. Yeah, I mean, obviously, when I found out Barbarian, Ann and I thought about going to see Barbarian tonight, but it was the opening of the NFL season, and Rings of Power was on, so that wasn't going to happen. Then I can't see it tomorrow because I'm in Anaheim. Can't see it Saturday because I'm in Anaheim. And then Sunday is House of the Dragon. So I'm not going to be able to see Barbarian until at least Monday. So hopefully you'll get to see it before me, Casey. All right. But good luck on keeping spoiler free, man. I haven't heard any spoilers for it so far, so fingers crossed that stays that way. Remember, Bulldog writes, where are we at? There it is. So far, I'm liking She-Hulk. Not loving episode 4. Was good, but not great. Hopefully, the next 5 episodes are great. Yeah, listen. 1 or 2 of the episodes I've really liked, but it's. I don't know. I think it's better than Hawkeye. I think I'm enjoying it a little bit more than Loki. It's certainly not up there with WandaVision or with Ms. Marvel, which I think are the 2 best shows they've done so far. But yeah, I really hope it's better than episode 4. I hope the rest of the episodes are better than episode 4. All right. Let's see here. We are at Tom. Tom Gillard writes, how do you get the Canon cameras to bypass the 30-minute limit? Well, with some Canon cameras, there are workarounds. I think it's a plugin or a software thing you can put on the cameras called Magic Lantern. I think it's called Magic Lantern that you can put on some Canon cameras that will do that. But there are a bunch of Canon cameras now that don't have the 30-minute limit, like the Canon M50 Mark IIs. These cameras don't have the 30-minute limit. So, so some of them do have those limits. Some of them don't, like the Canon M50 Mark IIs, which we have a couple of those in the studio. But other than that, I believe the software you put into the camera is called... I think it's called Magic Lantern or Black Lantern, one of those 2 things, and that can get around the 30-minute limit. Otherwise, get a Canon camera that already doesn't have the 30-minute limit. Okay, I hope that helps, Tom. Let's see, where are we at now? We're at Michael Gotees, who writes, John, I've been watching you since you covered the announcements of Batman vs. Superman. Thank you very much. From New Jersey, I was wondering if you and the crew would come out east anytime soon. Well, I'll be straight up honest with you. I don't see the crew coming out east anytime soon. That's ridiculously expensive. Like for me to try to take, say, 4 members of the team, that's airfare, hotels, food. We're now talking in the tens of thousands of dollars. So I probably will not be bringing the crew east anytime soon. I will probably be going out east to Toronto, but I don't think I'll be in New Jersey or anything like that anytime soon. But I mean, who knows? Maybe if a convention comes up and we get invited to go out there, maybe that'll happen. All right. Thanks a lot for writing that in, man. And thanks for watching for so long. Okay. Next up, we've got, that was Michael. We're at Peter Cunnington, who writes, Cobra Kai comes out in a few hours. And I'm glad you're happy for it. I personally don't care one little bit, but I'm glad that you and my wife and a whole bunch of other people are going to be excited for it. It's, Cobra Kai's just not for me, unfortunately. All right. Mr. 47 writes, just saw Barbarian. Wow. Best horror film this year so far. Certified fresh, must watch. Chris will have to skip a moment in this film. LMAO. Yeah, I'm hearing really good things about it. Like my assistant Taylor saw it and he said he really enjoyed it. So, I mean, fingers crossed. Unfortunately, like I said, I'm not going to be able to see it until at the very earliest Monday or Tuesday. So I'm just going to have to hope I can stay spoiler free on it. But I'm glad you enjoyed it, man. All right. Next up, Tom Glard writes, you have said the dog was the highest paid actor in your film. Yes. So how much does Joey Bishop earn per show? Yeah, so what Tom is talking about, for those of you who don't know, I made a movie a bunch of years ago called The Anniversary. And there's a character I needed in my script for a 3-legged dog. So I found a Hollywood animal company that has animals that are specifically trained to be in movies and TV shows. And I said, do you guys happen to have a three-legged dog? And they said, as a matter of fact, we do. And he's wonderful. But we had to pay for the dog and pay for the trainer that comes along. So yeah, the dog ended up being the highest paid actor in my movie, by a long shot, which is kind of funny, but yeah, but no, Joey Bishop doesn't get paid at all. Aaron does. If Aaron gives Joey Bishop a cut of her money, that's between Joey Bishop and Aaron. All right. South Texas Shark writes, what do you hope gets announced for D23? Honestly, I don't care. I'm not going in with any expectations. I'm going to go into there and say, hey, I'm just excited to hear what they have to give us. I'm not going in with, I hope they announce this. Nope. I'm just going to be happy to hear whatever it is they have to present to us. All right. Jared Vester writes, is there a slim chance that you or the crew would do commentaries on some of your favorite movies? Maybe. I mean, I used to do that long time ago. I used to do stuff like that. We used to do commentaries for our favorite movies. The problem is with copyright rules and a lot of times it's really hard to do that because a lot of times you get caught up. Doing commentaries is tricky because quite often people just get caught up in watching the movie and like there's a minute of dead air and people not talking or whatever. But it is something we've talked about. So maybe at some point we might look at that if we ever have like some free time to do it. Free time is not something we have a lot of right now. All right. Thanks for that in, Jared. All right. Virtuoso writes, tipped in like $20. Thank you, Virtue. Writes, No Way Home's new post-credit scene shows how the Forget Peter spell worked. Betty Brant's Midtown High slideshow. Peter's absent from all the photos except one picture, and there's a bird flying across his face to obscure him. Oh, well, that makes sense. I mean, listen, I don't bother going to movie theaters to see, like, especially movies that have been in theaters within the last year. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm happy they put it out because the theaters needed movies for people to come see, and they made over like $6 million. So a bunch of people wanted to go see it. But like, to me, those are never the movie. The original theatrical versions of the film, that's the definitive version of the film. So I generally don't like the trend of, hey, we just had this movie out 6 months ago. Let's put it out in theaters again, but we're going to add 6 extra seconds and everybody will pay more money for it. But whatever. I like it there too. For me, I like there to at least be a couple of years in between that. But hey, I know a lot of people have fun doing that, and that's awesome. But it's just not something I really care about. But anyway, thanks for that, Virtuoso. All right. Virtuosos also writes, did I send in the same super chat earlier today? Yes, I did. But it's all good. I love you guys and happy to support the channel. Well, I was not there on the show earlier today, but thank you for that, Virtuoso. I appreciate that very much, man. That's very generous of you, dude. All right. Andy writes, thank goodness I gave Barbarian a try. It was excellent. I can't remember a horror film this original and effective since Hereditary. 8.5 out of 10, must watch. It really sucks because I was invited to go and watch Barbarian well over a month ago. And at the studio lot, they had invited me to come down and watch it. And I was all set to do it. And then we realized that same day was Ray's birthday, and we had decided instead to do a staff big lunch, a dinner out together as a staff to celebrate Ray's birthday. And unfortunately for me, that meant I couldn't see it. And that's fine. That's okay. But again, I really hope, I'm hearing nothing but good things about it, Andy. I'm glad you had a good time watching it, man. All right. Next up, we got Fanimator, who writes, you should make a video essay for why Return of the Jedi or Star Wars trilogy is your favorite film of all time, similar to your Man of Steel video. No, there's no need for that. There are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of video essays about why Star Wars is the greatest thing of all time. It certainly doesn't need me to add another one. Like, Star Wars is pretty much acknowledged to be one of the greatest things ever. I did my Man of Steel one because I believe it is completely underrated. And you're not going to find hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of big video essays about why Man of Steel is great. So that's why I made it. With Star Wars, It's not, Star Wars is not hurting for attention, you know? So let's put it that way. So I probably won't be making that video. All right. Let's see here. Gonzo writes, went to see Northman opening night. Upon exiting the AMC Prime, I saw outside the marketing room a box with a 72 by 50 Duster poster. Took it home with me. I'm not quite sure what you were trying to write there. Yeah, Northman to me is incredible. I love Northman. It's my third favorite film of the year. Second or third. My number one favorite movie of the year is still Everything Everywhere All at Once. And then number 2 and number 3 are The Northman and The Batman. But I love The Northman. The posters are incredible. I just thought that movie was brilliant. I love it to high heaven. And if you got yourself one of the theater posters for it, that's pretty awesome, man. And I'm a little bit jealous about that. All right. Let's see. Abel Leon writes, 1 of 3. John, hope you are having a good night. As a person that the only sport I know was football, I was shocked that there wasn't a tier league system in other sports, especially in American football. For me, it's one of the main reasons why football is the greatest sport in the world. It is the only sport there is real consequences for losing multiple times, aka Italy. Sorry, John. So even though you... let me see if I can get this back again. Hold on a second here. Sorry, I got to get this all reset. Something's going kind of wacky with the system here. Where is Abel? Oh man, I hope I didn't lose your thing. Give me a second. Okay, here we go. Let's try this again. 3 of 3. Have never really been interested in football. Are you at least more interested than you were before? And in 2026, the World Cup is set to be played in North America. Are you going to pay the big bucks? Oh, hell no. No. I'm not a big enough soccer fan that I'm going to be paying big money to go to the World Cup. Now, I get interested in the World Cup every year, in the World Cup every 4 years, I should say, if Italy's in it. If Italy's in it, then I get excited. I break out the Italian flag and I watch, Forza Italia. For those who don't know, I'm Italian. But that's pretty much the extent of it. Now watching like Welcome to Wrexham, that's definitely, I'm loving that show and everything, but I'm not about to get caught up in leagues. But I will say this, you're absolutely right. The tiered league system is brilliant. They should absolutely do that in all professional sports. You should absolutely have a tiered league system in football, in hockey, in basketball, in baseball. It would make it way more interesting, I think. I love the way that soccer does that. Love it. I wish more sports would do that, Abel. But no, I will probably, unless somebody comes along and gives me tickets to some World Cup matches, I probably will not be going, I probably won't be going to any World Cup matches. It's not my sport. That's all. Just not mine. But I'm loving Welcome to Wrexham. All right. Thanks for writing that in, man. Let's see. Next up, we got Dr. Stinky, who writes, saw Thor twice since last night. What's it? Saw Thor twice since last night. Number 1 of the year now. You saw it twice since last night? Sorry, Dr. Stinky, I'm not really clear on what it is you're trying to say there. Blake writes, the family tree of the dragons in House of the Dragon is intriguing. Daemon's dragon, Craxus, is the cousin of Rhaenyra's dragon, Syrax, and Laenor's dragon, Seasmoke, who are siblings. Dreamfire is the parent of Craxus. Yeah, here's the thing, Drake. I can't follow any of that. I have no idea obviously I know the red worm dragon, that's Daemon's. And I can recognize that, but the family lineage of the dragons is not something I keep up with. I guess for a lot of people who read the books, that's pretty key and significant, but as somebody who has never read the books and probably never will, I'll just take it as the show gives it to me. But I got to imagine, as somebody who does know that lore, it probably makes watching these episodes of House of the Dragon even more deep for you. Like I know when I'm watching a show or something based on something that I have a lot of knowledge of, because like I know everything about Star Wars, right? So when I'm watching a Star Wars thing and these little references and ties, it makes it a little bit more rich for me. So I've got to imagine for people like you who do know the books and the source material really well, that knowing all that kind of stuff, like even about the Dragon's family tree, that's got to probably make watching the show even more rich for you. So I'm kind of envious of that, Blake. Thanks for sharing that, man. All right. Next up, we got Fernando Rodriguez, who writes, thank you and the crew, Amy and Chris loves. I'm a big fan, even if John blocks me on Twitter. Hope you, John, are okay. God bless the Queen. Physical media for life. And by the way, for now, put in $50. By the way, just so anybody knows, I'm not going to say I never. I'm not going to say I never, because sometimes I personally do it. But I do have somebody that helps me moderate my social media. And they've been working with me for a while. And they don't know anybody. So if they see something that's fairly objectionable or whatever in social media, they'll usually block people. Every once in a while, I'll do some blocking myself if I'm in there. But it is possible that you probably wrote something in there that probably came across really the wrong way, and my moderator probably blocked it. So at any rate, Amy and Chris are great. I'm very lucky that I found both of them. And it's so great now that we're in the studio, and I actually now have the luxury that if for whatever reason I can't do a show, the show can still go on now because I have the team to do it. Up till about 6 months ago, that would never happen. Up till just 4 months ago, that would never happen. Like if I can't do a show, there's no show. And now we have the team in place, we have the facilities, we have the infrastructure, and we have the organization that if I can't do a show for whatever reason, the show can still go on. And that's one of the great things about being where we're at right now. So I'm very, very grateful for that. And Amy and Chris are definitely parts of the reason of that, Fernando. So thanks for writing that. And thank you so much for supporting us on that level. That's a really generous tip, man. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate it very much. All right. Next up, we've got William Roche, who writes, breaking. Adam Sandler will make his directorial debut with the next Star Trek film, according to Gus's movie reviews, gasstation.fart. Love the show. Don't appreciate the slander of these great folks, LOL. Which great folks are we talking about? Are we talking about Adam Sandler? Or are we talking about are you talking about Gus's gas station movie reviews.fart? Well, you know what? Here's the thing, William. They have it coming. They totally have it coming. All right. Zelda Master 702 writes, hope the day off was rejuvenating for you. God save the Queen. No, it wasn't really rejuvenating for me. To be honest with you, I do what I tend to do anyway. I ended up working anyway. I just started doing some prep work for D23. I ran out to, when I was thinking about what package I'm going to bring with me to Anaheim so we can do a live stream from there. And I'm like, I'm going to need this and this. So I ran over to Best Buy, grabbed a couple things, blah, blah, blah. So I wouldn't say today was a rejuvenating day. Not at all. But, it was great knowing that I'm able to leave the show in good hands. So thanks for that, Zelda Master. Appreciate that. Okay. Next up, we got, we already had Abel Leon. Now we're at David Voss, who writes, first time, long time from Australia. Sad day, Queen Elizabeth II. Well, thank you for writing in from Australia, my friend. And yeah, it is sad. I mean, listen, at the same time, like Queen Elizabeth, she was 96. I mean, she was a model of duty and civility for longer than my parents have been alive. I mean, that's crazy. Like the Queen has been the Queen since I think before my mom was born, which is crazy to think about. That's not so. Very sad day indeed, absolutely. But I mean, man, she lived in 96. I mean, it was kind of crazy. All right, next up. We've got TJ Slab Dragon Watson writes, who tips in like $20. Thank you, man. Proud to be a producer for another month. You bring me so much joy. Oh, well, thank you. That means you're one of our channel members. Thank you so much for that, man. Really appreciate that. Hopefully you were at our channel members town hall meeting the other day. I made a bunch of announcements that we still have not announced to our general viewing audience, but we will in the coming days. I really appreciate our channel members and like our producer level members. Thank you for that. And thank you for being part of that, TJ. Appreciate that, dude. All right. What do we got here? Alex Von Gollum writes, I think this was the best episode of Rings of Power. I agree. The cinematography and cities designs are gorgeous. I can't wait for episode 5. I'll tell you what, man, when they were sailing into Numenor, like even my wife, who doesn't follow a lot of Lord of the Rings, like Anne, we were laying here watching this episode. When they got to Numenor and started to do the big sweeping shots of the city and the island, like even Anne was like, "Holy shit!" I'm like, "Yeah," like absolutely breathtaking, absolutely breathtaking. And I felt like they were finally starting to move some story elements forward. But again, I just really feel like they could have taken the content of these 3 episodes, compacted them into 2 episodes, and I think they would have moved much better. A lot of dead air in these episodes, but let's see. The preview for episode 5 looks great, so I'm excited to see where we're going to go with that. All right, let's see. Next up, that was Alex. Jurassic Star-Lords writes, greetings from Norway, coffee and Campea, 7 a.m. Is that what time it is where you are right now? It's 7 a.m.? See, that's one of the neat things about the afternoon shows and about After Dark is that, you know, the time that we do the live stream for the John Campea Show, that's great for some people, but it means some people can never participate in a live stream because of the hour. Being able to do these other live streams at different times during the day means people can participate that never can normally participate. So yeah, so that's pretty cool. We're glad you're able to be here, Jurassic Star-Lords. Good to have you here. All right, next up, CJ Rebirth writes, I enjoyed Love and Thunder. Natalie Portman was the highlight for me, and her entering Valhalla hit close to home for me regarding the cancer stuff. Yeah, listen, I'll tell you what, CJ Rebirth, I like Thor Love and Thunder. I have some significant issues with it. I do. It is not top tier MCU to me. It is a significant step down from Thor Ragnarok for me. But at the end of the day, the fact of the matter is, when I walked out of the theater, I had laughed a lot. I had a good time. And I see a lot of people going, well, you know, it's just too much comedy. You know what? If the comedy works, comedy works. If it didn't work for you, then it didn't work for you. That's all fair. But yeah, again, not one of my favorite MCU things. I thought it was a step down from Ragnarok. But overall, yeah, man, I'd be lying if I didn't say I enjoyed it. I had a good time with it. All right. Levi R. writes, I started watching Rings of Power, not for me. I'm really disappointed because, I started watching Rings of Power, not for me. I'm really disappointed because I'm a big fan of the trilogy, and for me, the casting seems off. I'm going to disagree with you on that. I think the casting is fantastic. Right now, I think the casting is fantastic. And I'm on board. I get with what they're going for. I do. My issue right now is that it is badly paced. Like, we are 3 episodes in right now. And I feel like in the last 5 minutes of the episode, we are really now starting to get a picture of what the show is even about. Like, okay, they're in Numenor. She realizes he's the lineage of the king. Obviously, we know Isildur's father, the captain. We know he becomes king of Gondor at some point. And that Isildur will then take up his father's broken sword and cut the hand off of Sauron. We know all that. Okay, so that's what's going on. She's now figured out the symbols of what's going on in the Southlands. Okay, great. We see what's going on with the work camp with the captive elves. Great. And I feel like, okay, now we're starting to get a picture. But it took us to the end of episode 3 to even start to get a picture of what I think the overall story is. And to me, that is a major problem of pacing. So I like a lot of the content that's in there. I like where I feel like where we're going. But my God, these have been badly paced. They have been badly paced. And I hope that pacing kind of picks up a notch or two. But yeah, we'll see. All right. Next up, Andy writes, The OC welcomes you back, John. Keep coming back. Well, thank you so much. I do love, listen, Ann and I go to Irvine all the time. We go into Irvine, Orange, Anaheim. We've got a lot of different things we like to go and hang out there. We love going to the Spectrum Center out in Irvine. And yeah, we were just out there. What were we in Anaheim for the other day? Oh yeah, we went to go see Rings of Power at the Orange Cinemark. We were just out there for that. Yeah, I like the OC very much. Okay, next up. Well, who was that? That was Andy. Gabriel Roca writes, "Hey John, found this channel this year in January and haven't missed a video since. Oh man, thanks. That's so good to have you here, man. I was wondering if you would ever make tech videos and what kind of tech. Listen, I would love to do tech videos. I really would. But there's two problems. Number one, it's against the identity of my channel. My channel is movies, movie news, TV, and streaming. That's our identity. That is what we are. I find channels that try to become too many things lose focus, and then it's like the audience doesn't know what they're there for. You know, that's why I don't, like, some people keep saying to me, John, you should also do a sports show on the channel, but that's not what the identity of the channel is. So I pretty much have to create another channel, and I just have no time for that. I have no time. If I were doing tech videos, it would be all on phones, laptops, cameras, mics, streaming stuff, like the lights I use, the cameras I use, the mics I use, the monitors I use, the cables that I use, the hubs and the docks that I use. I mean, I would make videos of that stuff all day long because I love that stuff. Fortunately, there's a lot of good tech channels out there, whether it's great Canadian kids like Unbox Therapy and Linus Tech Tips. The best tech bloggers are pretty much Canadian, but you also got MKBHD, who's fantastic. You've got Harris Heller. I'm a big fan of Harris Heller, actually, and what he's doing with Senpai. And so a lot of different tech guys I follow, lots of good tech stuff, and I'd love to do more tech videos, but you'll find me do a tech video once in a while, but very, very rarely because I just don't have time, and it's not the identity of the channel, unfortunately. All right, thanks for writing that in, man. I really appreciate it. I'm glad you found the channel, Gabriel. Ben Elman writes, do you think we will get any Marvel or Star Wars cast announcements at D23 besides Fantastic Four? Sorry, I got a fly that's bothering me here. Besides Fantastic Four, if so, which character or film shows? Thanks. Oh yeah, I don't know which characters or shows, but absolutely. I 100% believe we're going to get big announcements. We've been getting some big casting announcements about The Acolyte. You know what? I bet the last 2 days of Acolyte, the two casting announcements we've had for Acolyte the last 2 days, I bet you anything those were supposed to come out at D23, but certain news outlets found out about them and broke the story on them, unfortunately. But I think we're going to get... Yeah, I think we're going to get lots of stuff. Lots of casting amounts going to go well beyond Fantastic Four. Which ones? No idea. Not even going to try to speculate. But I think we're going to get a lot of that stuff. Okay, next up, we've got... Who was that? That was Ben Elman. Now we're at King Tane, who writes, is it weird that I'm not too confident with the God of War show Amazon is making the way I'm confident for The Last of Us show just because it's HBO? I really hope both are amazing, though. I know, listen, I think it's completely reasonable, King. Listen, HBO is the gold standard of making television programs. Netflix does it pretty damn good, too. But nobody does it as good as HBO. That doesn't mean every single thing they've ever produced is a 10 out of 10. Not at all. But nobody does it nearly as well or as consistently as HBO does. It's just that simple. So understanding that HBO is the absolute best at making this medium of content, it's absolutely 100% understandable that you'd feel like I have more confidence in what they're doing than what anybody else is doing, right? So I think that's a totally reasonable thing to think. I mean, that doesn't mean that God of War can't be as good as or better than HBO's Last of Us. Sure, it could. But since HBO is the best at doing this, Of course you'd put your money on that one, or feeling more confident in that one. It's absolutely understandable. And I relate. I completely relate. All right. Thanks for writing that in, King. Next up, Spencer Nilsson writes, would never happen, but if Zaslav means business, get Spielberg to do Superman. All-time American director taking on the OG all-American superhero. Let me correct you about something, Spencer. Superman is Canadian. Actually, to be more specific, Superman is not American. He's not even from Earth. Superman is Kryptonian. But Superman was created by a Canadian. Just an interesting little piece of info there for you. And you can't just go get a director to do a thing. Steven Spielberg would have zero interest in doing a Superman movie. Steven Spielberg is the greatest filmmaker of all time. Greatest filmmaker of all time. So, of course, it would be great. But it would be great if he did any movie. Like, any movie Steven Spielberg would do would be a great thing. Like, I want him to do a Star Wars movie and all that kind of stuff. So it's not a matter of, if Zaslav means business, who it's Spielberg. Well, every studio head wants Spielberg to do everything. Spielberg is at the end of his career, right? He's at the last part of his career. He's going to do whatever the hell he wants to do. No one's going to make him do any movie that he doesn't want to do. But of course, yeah, if we found out Steven Spielberg was directing a Superman movie, I'd be super excited. But, yeah, like Queen in the live chat saying, did anybody see West Side Story? Yeah, damn right. It was the best movie of the year. West Side Story was the best movie of the year. I thought it should have won Best Picture. It was incredible. And I said, I poo-pooed that movie like crazy. Like, I love Spielberg. He's the greatest filmmaker of all time. But who the hell cares about a West Side Story remake? Who cares? And then I saw it. And I'm like, damn, that's the best movie of the year. It's amazing what he did with that movie. So, yeah, I'd be super excited if he did do a Superman, but I'd be even more excited if he did a Star Wars movie. All right, let's see. Matt Fitch writes, Buffalo looked good tonight. They didn't look good. They looked unstoppable. Not perfect, but they looked good, and defense was nasty. Football is back, and Cobra Kai in less than 2 hours. Let's effing go. Yeah, obviously, I don't care about Cobra Kai, but listen, there's a reason I've been saying that I think Buffalo's going to win this, barring any kind of a fluke. Buffalo's going to win the Super Bowl this year. They didn't look good tonight. They looked unstoppable. They were playing, and don't forget this, they were playing the defending Super Bowl champs, and they embarrassed them. They spanked them. Like, that score was much closer than the game really was. Buffalo's offense was having its way with LA. Like, there was that one fluky interception where it hit the guy right in the numbers and bounced down. God, then there was the fumbles and whatever. Then there's the one bad interception that Allen threw, one. But other than that, dear heavens, and again, don't forget who they look so good against. They look that great. They look that dominant against the defending Super Bowl champions. They look unstoppable, dude. Like, absolutely unstoppable. All right. Haji Gaming writes, hey, John, support and best wishes from Sydney. Well, we're hearing from a bunch of people in Australia tonight. Have you ever been to Australia or plan to come? I have never been to Australia. I've always wanted to go. I've always wanted to visit Australia. I don't know how I'm going to do it because I don't like flying. It's hard enough for me to get on a 5-hour plane trip to go from here to Toronto. That's hard for me. It's the reason I haven't gone to visit Anne's family's home in the Philippines, is because I don't know that I can get on a plane ride for that long. So I don't know if I'll ever get to visit Australia, but I would really love to. I would really, really love to. All right, thanks for writing that in, dude. All right. Gabriel Baker writes, reminder, despite all the empty slots in Marvel's timeline, there's only 2 unannounced movies, plus Deadpool before Secret Wars. Manage expectations. Expectations has nothing to do with the number of movies they're going to put in there. And by the way, when you say certain number of slots, who's to say how many empty slots there are? Just because they put something up at Comic-Con does not mean that's what it's going to be. To me, the big bombs is not the sheer number of new projects. It's going to be the new projects and then what's happening within those projects. So there's that stuff. But by the way, don't forget, it's not just MCU. It's the Fox films. It's Star Wars. It's all of that together. Like, the MCU doesn't have to drop 40 bombs in and of itself. They can have a couple of big announcements, and that's great. But then Fox is going to have big announcements. You're going to have a bunch of Star Wars big announcements. It's all together that it's going to be absolutely crazy. All right. But we should always, always, always manage our expectations regardless. All right. Dwayne Fernandez writes, any updates on the D23 situation? Well, a friend of mine actually got a hold of me a little bit earlier and let me know, hold on a second, and let me know that, so I don't know if any of you guys in the live chat are familiar with another tech YouTuber I should have mentioned earlier, actually, are familiar with a tech YouTuber by the name of Brian Tong. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Brian Tong. He's a tech YouTuber, mostly focuses on a lot of Apple products and stuff like that. Let me know in the live chat there if you guys know Brian. But I actually met Brian at I think it was the Shang-Chi. Yeah, it was at the Shang-Chi premiere. That's where Brian and I met. And it was really great because it's like one of the first times I went up to somebody at one of these things and said, hey man, I'm a fan of yours. And I went up to Brian and said, I'm a fan of yours, really enjoy your stuff. And he and I kind of became buddies a bit. And so it was actually Brian today is the one that wrote me. He texted me earlier and said, here's what's going on with D23. And so, listen, guys, I'll be honest with you. I'm just going to be totally honest with you. I'm really frustrated with Disney. And I don't know if it's because that I am very publicly don't like the job that Bob Chapek has done or whatever, but for whatever reason, I was not granted a seat in the designated media reserved seating for the D23 presentation on Saturday. They have a specific section set aside for media that can sit, and they reserve those spots for media. And even though I got a media pass, they did not give me access to the reserved media. Which I'm like, whatever. And look, I'm not entitled to anything. Let's be very, very clear about that. I know that I am not entitled to anything. But last D23, I was media and I was given access to the media seating. So I didn't even know if Rob and I would go, but apparently you can go and get in line. If you have a D23 pass, you can go and get in line at 4:30 in the morning. So Saturday, Rob and I will have to go and get in line at 4:30 in the morning. And here's the thing. It still doesn't guarantee that Rob and I will be able to get in. And part of the reason why this is so frustrating for me is because once I got notified that we got media credentials to at least go to D23, I booked hotels. Now, here's the thing. We want to be able to come out of that panel presentation and immediately start live streaming for you guys. So that means I have to have a hotel room right by the convention center where we can have a whole setup like this one here all set up so we can go in and start live streaming to you guys so we can all start talking about the announcements that are made at D23. But those hotels are expensive and I needed 2 of them for like a couple of nights and it cost me thousands of dollars. It cost me thousands of dollars to get those hotels, which I got because we got the media credentials. And so I spent the thousands of dollars only then to find out that we didn't get approved to have a seat reserved for us in the panel. I don't even know for sure we're going to be able to get into the panel. The whole reason we're going, the whole reason I went and booked those hotel rooms and all that kind of stuff, I'm not even 100% sure we're going to be able to get in. And oh my God, if we don't get into that panel, get ready for some Campea ranting. Oh my God. If I've spent thousands of dollars in those hotels, we booked the weekend, we totally booked the weekend aside. I go to Anaheim, we go to cover this thing, and if we can't get in, I am going to fucking lose it. I am going to absolutely, again, not because I feel like, damn it, I'm John Campea. Don't they know who I think I am? No. Nothing like that. It's just that you tell us we got media credentials. So in reliance on that, I go ahead and book thousands of dollars worth of hotels and all that kind of stuff, only to find out we can't get into the panel in the first place. I'll probably lose my mind. Hopefully that won't happen. And hopefully, getting there at, see, Darth Raider is saying camp out so you can guarantee a spot. You can't. Police are actually going to make sure they have totally banned lining up overnight. And they're actually going to have security and police there. They say the earliest you're allowed to arrive and get in any kind of line is 4:30 in the morning. Because believe you me, if just camping out overnight was the issue, hey, I'll go do that. I'll go do it. I'll be fine. But, and I understand why they're doing this. I do. I think it's a good thing that they're doing. They're saying they're not allowing people to camp overnight. They're not allowing any of that kind of stuff. The earliest you can get in line is at 4:30. So Rob and I will go down there at 4:30 and we will get in line. And hopefully we get in. Hopefully we get in. See, here's the thing. Like, people, when I tell you guys I am a fucking nobody YouTuber from Canada, like, some people go, oh no, John, yeah, no, I am. I can't even get fucking media seating at the Disney event. And believe me, there are like YouTubers and like blog writers and podcasters who have like 500 followers that are getting these media seats. I don't. That's how much of a nobody I am in this business. That's why I say I'm not entitled to them. I am a nobody YouTuber. I get it. That's all fine. I'm just going to be really mad if I spent a whole bunch of money for nothing. I'm going to be so mad. I'm going to be so mad. It's going to be crazy. And then, then a few months later, I'll just laugh about it. But whatever. It is what it is. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. Let's see. Let's keep going here. Next up, we've got Cody Hunt writes, I saw Barbarian tonight. Yeah, there it is. I saw Barbarian tonight, went in completely blind. It was fantastic. Great tension and some very gruesome moments. Best horror movie of the year for me. I love hearing that. Cody, you're like the third person now to write in to say that you went to go see it and you loved it. I love hearing this. Love it. Love it. Love hearing that any new movie coming out is great. I love that. I had a couple of opportunities to see it before and I wasn't able to take advantage of it, but I'm glad you had a good time and thanks for adding your voice to the very pro Barbarian group that we have here tonight. All right, Jamie Rodriguez writes, who has been the best love interest in the MCU Phase 4? I'll be honest with you, I don't even know. I can't even keep the phases straight in my head, so I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. Probably Thor and Jane. They're a good one. I mean, I never cared about Thor and Jane until Thor: Love and Thunder. This movie made me care about that relationship, so maybe I'll say them, maybe. Or Druig and Makari in Eternals, one of those two. All right, let's see here. Evan Coburn writes, did Madison become the Ghost Rider? Ooh, do you think the Ghost Rider hints could lead somewhere in this show? No, I don't. And no, they're not going to make her the Ghost Rider. They're not going to introduce a Ghost Rider in a half-hour comedy legal show. The girl named Madison with 2 N's and a Y, but not where you think it is. No. But I'm wondering if Jack the Goat is Mephisto. I mean, I don't know. So, but I doubt anything really serious is going to come out. I doubt anything serious is going to come out of She-Hulk. I don't think anything like deadly serious is going to come out of there. All right. You guys like that impersonation? yeah, that's the best. That's the best thing you're going to get out of this live stream tonight is that impersonation I just did. Let's see. Floating Kites writes, so what are your thoughts on the Pinocchio reception? I mean, what? I don't know. They look negative. That's my response. Those are my thoughts. They look negative. It's too bad. Love Zemeckis. Love Tom Hanks. I thought the project looked very interesting, but apparently people are not liking it. So have to wait to see till I see it myself. Floating Kites. Right. Josh Molinari writes, thoughts on iPhone 14 Pro Max. My thoughts is I'm not going to upgrade to it. It's an iterative advancement. The whole floating island thing, that's neat. I didn't personally see anything there that makes me think I gotta drop $1,000 to upgrade from the phone I have. It's an iterative advancement, to be honest with you. So it looks good. If I had like an iPhone 10 right now, yeah, I would look at getting it. But honestly, I think if you've got an iPhone 12 or iPhone 13, I don't know that it's worth it to upgrade it to the 14, to be honest with you. But that's just my kind of take. All right. Let's see. Next up, we have... That was Josh. Yes. Monzel Rushin just sends in a super chat to be supportive. Thank you, Monzel. Jamie Sundays writes, just recently we watched The Desolation of Smaug. What a picture. It's so fun. I remember you loved it when you came out. It still holds up for you. Listen, I've said a lot. I like the Hobbit films, other than the third one. I have a big, I could do an entire editorial video on the big main problem with the third film and what the basic issue is with the third film. But other than that, I have always said, you know what, obviously they're not as good as the original Peter Jackson Lord of the Rings films, but I will defend the Hobbit films other than the third one. I like the Hobbit films. I think they're fun. And yeah, the whole thing with Smaug at the end of that, I thought that whole thing was great. I really did. I liked it a lot. All right. Let's see. Detroit Dog writes, do you think they removed Thor's bum on Disney Plus like they did with Darahanis and Splash? Who cares? I think the answer to that, Detroit Dog, is who cares? It's irrelevant. It doesn't matter. It doesn't change the movie in any way, shape, or form, but I'm guessing they probably don't change it. That'll be my guess. My guess is that they don't change it. All right. Mothership writes, things have been real quiet on the Ezra Miller side. They just have locked him up in Arkham Asylum. Listen, they did what the old regime that used to own and run Warner Brothers should have done years ago, 2 years ago. You know, they finally intervened. They finally dragged him in. And I think you're right. I think they've got him locked up at a safe house and saying, you're going to sit down, shut up, and keep your mouth shut until this movie comes out. Then you go off and get involved and do whatever nonsense that you do. But until this movie comes out, because we are committed to releasing this movie, until this movie comes out, you're going to go over there, you're going to sit down, you're not going to be seen, you're going to shut up, you're going to issue some apologies, and that's the only thing that's going to come out of your damn fool mouth. So yeah, I don't expect we're going to see or hear very much of Ezra Miller between now and when The Flash comes out. All right, let's see. Gabriel Roca writes, seen Maverick 5 times now. Can't get tired of it. It's a fun movie. I mean, listen, I was talking to a friend of mine the other night about this too. You guys know that I saw Maverick months ago. Right? Months ago, months before it came out at CinemaCon. They showed us the full thing at CinemaCon. And you guys know when I came out, I said, my God, this thing is incredible. It's an incredibly fun experience. I loved it, loved it, loved it. But let's not pretend like it's Shakespeare. Let's not pretend like it's award-level screenplay writing. I mean, this movie lives and dies on the aerial shots. That's where all the fun and the tension and all that kind of stuff. There's a few good moments, like obviously the Maverick with Iceman scene is a chef's kiss. It's a wonderful, fantastic scene. But there's a lot of drivel in the movie too. Like the whole thing with Goose's son wears the same shirt, same sunglasses, even sits down at the piano and plays the exact same song. The daddy, you shake my nerves and you ran on my brain. It's like, oh yeah, I totally forgot Goose played that song. And let's forget that we don't even know who the bad guys in this movie are. And let's even forget that they just totally ripped off the Death Star trench run from Star Wars and made that the entire thing of the thing. But it's an incredible experience. Movies, you guys always hear me say this. Movies are experiential events. And yeah, the over-reliance on instead of volleyball, they're playing beach football. And Goose's son wears the exact same Hawaiian shirt and has the exact same mustache and wears the exact sunglasses and plays the exact same piano songs. Like, forget all that. Movies are experiential events. What was your experience when you watched the movie? And when I come out of Top Gun Maverick, I have had an incredible experience. And at the end of the day, that's really what matters. And that's why people like yourself, Gabriel, going to watch it 5 times. I have a buddy of mine I had dinner with last night who has literally gone to see it in theaters 12 times. 12 times. It's just because movies are experiential events, and that movie delivers a damn good experience. At least that's my opinion. All right. Let's see. Next up, we've got Seg Alula 79 writes, if you pick one director to direct Superman movie, who would you pick and why? Just so you know, I do not do X director directing X movies or X actor in X role questions. Anybody who is a veteran of watching me knows that I don't get involved in those kind of questions. Who do you think should direct this? Which actor should play this role? I don't do X director directing X movies or X actor in X movie things. So as long as it's a good director, that's all I care about. All right. Let's see here. Next up, we've got TJ Slab Dragon Watson writes, I was the only one in the theater for Inhumans. I saw it a couple times. You might have seen it late. I saw it a couple times, and it was always packed when I saw it. I mean, it was early when I saw it. It was in the early days, and I'm in LA, where more people go to movies. Jose Garcia writes, Big Daddy John dishing out the After Dark dirty. That's what we're here to do, Jose. I'm glad you're staying up with me, man. All right, Casey Mack writes, with D23 advertising Spider-Man in their posters, do you think we will get an announcement about a new deal with Disney/Sony? No, I don't. And I don't even think they were advertising Spider-Man on the D23 poster. I think they had Spider-Man on the D23 poster. Spider-Man is the #1 box office movie in the last 3 years. That's a movie they produced. You put them on the poster. I don't think that automatically means I don't think that means they're announcing Spider-Man or that they're going to announce anything about Spider-Man. Now, can they? They can. They can. Also, Up and Adam in the live chat points out a very, very good point too. That could simply be a thing for the theme park. Because remember, one of the big attractions in Avengers Land at Disneyland is that big Spider-Man animatronic, right? Where Spider-Man comes flying through, does the flips in the air, all that kind of stuff. So it could be a lot of different things. And they very well may announce the re-upping of their deal. They might, but having Spider-Man on the poster absolutely does not automatically mean that. So I would temper your expectations of that, but you never know. Let's see what happens. Let's see. Where are we at? Wade O'Neill writes, as someone unfamiliar with Black Adam, all I see is The Rock in that trailer. Hard to get invested. I don't think the general public will respond to this. I think they will, because the general public always responds to The Rock. And I don't expect... Like when you get actors who are like larger than life, right? Like even take Tom Cruise. When I see Tom Cruise in a Mission Impossible trailer, all I see is Tom Cruise. When you see Leonardo DiCaprio in a trailer for an upcoming movie, all I see is Leonardo DiCaprio. That's not the litmus test. The litmus test is, what do you see once you start watching the movie? Does the actor disappear and the character emerge as you're watching the movie? That's the big test. Any Nick Cage trailer, all I see is Nick Cage in the trailer. But hopefully, if he's good in the movie, Nick Cage fades into the background and the character emerges. But make no mistake, general audiences respond to Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. I don't think anybody's going to argue that, right? Like everybody will acknowledge that. And I think a lot of general movie-going audience fans will probably very much respond to that trailer. I just found the new trailer underwhelming because this trailer did not tell me one thing about the Black Adam movie that I didn't already know from the first trailer 2 trailers ago. So I'm a little bit underwhelmed by it. But I think a lot of people in the general movie-going audience will be impressed by it and like what they see a lot. But we'll see. We'll see. All right. Who was that? That was Wade O'Neill, I think. All right. Jamie Sundays writes, I'm like Rings of Power. I like Rings of Power in patches. It's very roller coaster for me. Parts I'm really liking. Then it slows. Then it picks up. Then it slows. Also, music is good. Oh, the music is amazing. I mean, like, one complaint I don't have about Rings of Power is the music, the visuals, the scope of the storytelling. Love all that stuff. But the pacing, man. The pacing has been a problem. There's great stuff in there, but the pacing is a problem. And it makes you feel like you're getting through the show. Like, here's the difference. House of the Dragon is a show that you watch that you feel you are keeping up with. All right? Tell me if you guys agree with this analogy, okay? When I'm watching House of the Dragon, I feel like it's a show I got to keep up with. I got to keep up with it. All right? As the story is flowing and everything is moving, I'm keeping pace with it. I'm following along with it. I'm keeping up with it. Rings of Power, I feel like I have to get through it. I feel because of the pacing, I have to push through. Like, here's an example. There's a scene in the episode that came out tonight where, without giving anything significant away, Galadriel is riding a horse. It was a good 45 seconds. Now, that 45 seconds doesn't sound like a lot. It's a long time in screen time. But there's a scene where she's just riding a horse. And it was like 45 seconds of different wide-angle shots of her riding this horse, and then a slow-mo shot of her face smiling, riding a horse. I'm like, what's the point of this scene? What's the point? And, like, even there's a scene where a guy gets into a fight, right? House of the Dragon would have done, guy meets a bunch of other guys, they have a bit of a conflict, something happens, a fight happens. And that would have all happened within about 30 seconds. Rings of Power drags that out over 2 separate scenes that was like 3 times as long as it needed to be. So House of the Dragon, I feel like I'm trying to keep up with it. Rings of Power, I feel like I have to push through it to get to the really relevant parts. And the relevant parts are good. They're great. They're world building here. Like it. But I feel like I got to push through to get to it. And that's the difference of the experience of the experience, the differences in the experience I have watching the 2 different shows right now. But I feel like Rings of Power is starting to pick up its pace. Hopefully. I really hope that when we get into episode 4 that we really feel it then. But that's just kind of my take on it right now. All right. Let's keep going here. Thanks for writing that in, Jamie. Ulatan writes, Donnie Blaze is Billy Walsh from Entourage. I'll be honest with me, I don't remember the characters in Entourage. Other than the main characters, I don't remember the characters. I do know that the guy who played Donnie Blaze is actually that episode of She-Hulk's director's husband. So I wonder how he got that role. But yeah, he is actually the woman who directed that episode of She-Hulk. The guy who played Donnie Blaze is her husband. So in real life. Let's see. LV Rartsoff writes, you think Matt and Jen will hook up? No, I don't. I really don't think they will. Monzel Rushin writes, I thrive to be the Black Campea. Stay sweaty for life. Dude, Monzel, you just be you, brother. Don't you worry about trying to be me. It's bad enough that there's one of me in the world. The world certainly doesn't need 2. The world needs a Monzel. That's what the world needs. So you be that, dude. All right. Next up, we got Johnny Weiner who writes, just saw Thor Ragnarok today. Tomorrow I'm seeing Cars, Rogue One, and for the first time Encanto. Awesome to see them in theaters. Yeah, that's right, because a bunch of the Disney films and AMC are going back into AMC theaters, which is, I mean, again, I don't like re-releases with new footage, whatever, but I love the idea of taking, there's a big empty slots in a lot of the theaters right now. There's just no product coming out other than like Barbarian. This is an industry that prior to the pandemic was having 3, 4, and 5 brand new wide release movies coming out every single week. So it's good that these theaters come back out, and seeing Rogue One again in theaters was absolutely aces. I love that. Let's see here. Up and Adam writes, Phase 6 schedule for a year. Fantastic Four to Secret Wars, November 24 to November to 2024 to November of 2025. I really expect release dates for the Avengers movies to be pushed back. What you think? Nope, not at all. Not in the least. Why would they push them back? They set those dates for a reason. It's not like they're going to set those dates and go, hey, wait a minute. Now that we look at these dates, I don't know about... No. They thought about these dates long and hard and chose that those are the dates. And they know why. We don't know why yet, but they know why they chose those dates. So you never know, Up and Adam. Anything can happen, but I really don't think that those dates are going to move. I really don't think they're going to move. All right, Screen Talk writes, how's life? John, how's life, my man? Life is good. I got a great family. I love what I do. Life is really good, man. Thanks for asking. Appreciate that. A-Rod 2006 writes, I love that Amanda Waller is like the evil Nick Fury of the DCEU. Okay, remember how I said that this this trailer for Black Adam doesn't tell me one single new thing that I didn't already know from the first trailer? I take that back. Amanda Waller is the one thing I didn't know from the other trailers. That's a nice little tie-in, by the way. But why is she working with the Justice Society? Not really sure, although she is in the government, so there's some connection there maybe. But yeah, so I take that back. She is the one thing that I now know about this Black Adam movie that I didn't know from the first trailer. It's the only thing we know, but I do like her. I like the Amanda Waller character, so I like seeing it too. All right, let's see. Screen Talk writes, I love the bromance between Rob and Ray. It's great. Oh yeah, I love... Listen, whatever company I'm running, whether it's AMC, whether it's at Collider, whether it's the John Campea Show, whatever, my number one priority is that you got to have a collection of people that all click and all get along. And I'll be honest with you, I'll spill a little tea here for you. Is that what the kiddies say? The tea? Yeah, again, so my number one priority through AMC, Collider, the John Campea Show is that when you're putting together a team and you're bringing new members in, like, you got to make sure that it's a team that really clicks well together, where everybody gets along, all that kind of stuff. When I was at Collider, though, we grew to a point. This was getting into my final days there before I left, that we were no longer a team. Like, for a long time at AMC, whatever, we were a team of 4 people, 5 people, 6 people, 7 people, 8 people, right? Stuff like that. By the time we were getting to the end of my run at Collider, we had 15 people, 18 people, 20 people, 22 people were all of a sudden working in this studio that I had. And once you get a team that's that large, then that started to become a little problematic of making sure everybody on the team all gets along. That's a lot easier when you're 5 people, 6 people, 7 people, 8 people. Once you get to 18 people, 20 people, 21 people, and onwards, that gets to be a little bit more tricky. And God, I'm not going to lie to you. There were a couple of people at Collider. I mean, I'm never going to say, I mean, they know who it is, but I'm never going to say names or anything like that. But I'll tell you what, there were people at Collider that were really problematic, like really, really problematic. And there are different dynamics of people who were just like this with each other, I remember there was a couple of people, and I felt bad because it was clearly, there were these 2 people that I had on my team that could not get on the same page. And I felt terrible because it was clearly one person's fault. But these 2 were just boom, boom, boom. And I felt like months I was constantly having to talk to one or the other to try to get them. There was another couple of them that started like feuding online, like where they're banging of heads started to go public because they started doing it like on social media too. And I remember I had to drag both of their asses separately into my office and say, you either quash this or you don't work here. I mean, you pick, because now you're embarrassing the company. Now you're embarrassing what we do. And this can't happen. I mean, it's difficult once the head count gets that high. You're going to get personalities that you can't make sure everybody gets along. And I did the best I could. And there were people that I didn't get along with. And that's fine, whatever. But I mean, I did the best I could to keep it all in-house. I did the best I could to keep it contained and at least make it all look like it was one big happy operation. I did the best I could. But I will tell you this. It's not a coincidence that as soon as I left, that place started falling apart. And it's not just because Campea was the driving crate. It's that I think I was holding it together. And as soon as I left, some of the egos that were there and, everybody, there was a lot of people there that were just all about themselves. And anyway, it's not a coincidence that the moment I left, their viewership started to drop, and then it dropped and 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 it dropped. And finally they shut down the whole thing. It was difficult. It was difficult. And I wasn't the perfect leader either. Like I'm sure I made mistakes along the way too, but I did the best that I could to try to keep it all contained. I did the best I could to keep it all contained. And I thought I did a pretty good job of it. About keeping the ship moving and keeping everybody, even though there were some people who were, banging heads with each other, I feel like I did an okay job keeping that whole ship moving in the right direction and moving together in one direction. Even when there were people who were banging heads with me, I feel like we were still able to keep things going in the same direction. I think a lot of that changed when I left. But yeah, at any rate there. So anyway, I'm using this as my own moment of catharsis to talk a little bit out loud about it. Probably said too much, but there's that. All right, let's move on here, shall we? Let's see here. That was that. Okay, now we're at Ricky Bizarro, who writes, one of two. Not IRAD. Rad, I get to send a chat. Been a minute since I could watch live. Moved to New York City 2 weeks ago and officially started drama school. Good for you, man. That's awesome. Getting to talk about art and performance has been so lovely. Shout out to my New York NYU class of 2026. Hope you have a great night, John. Thanks for getting me through the week. Well, that's awesome. Well, first of all, congrats to you for getting out there. Congrats to you for getting into NYU. That's not an easy thing to do. And that is awesome that you're able to pursue your dream, man. That is really, really cool. Thank you for sharing that with us. And that is no small accomplishment. That is no small accomplishment that you were able to do that. So congrats to you for that, man. That's great. All right. Next up, Brian Brown writes, have you ever seen Class of 1999? Could a remake work? Honestly, Brian, I've never heard of that project myself. Thanks for putting on the radar there. Let's see. Ryan Trabuco. Oh my God. Sends in $100. Ryan, thank you, man. That's incredibly generous of you, dude. Anyway, Ryan writes, hey, John, it's been a crazy day, but here's a little extra for that Gandalf figure. Oh, that's right. Because you sent in that same huge one the other day. Listed for $350. And there's low stock remaining. So here's a little extra to make sure you get it. Maybe let's get something for Ray too. Okay, so first of all, Ryan, that is incredibly generous of you. Thank you so much. Now, I'm going to let you guys in on a little behind the curtains about how the John Campea Show, how the company, Carson Drive Media, which is the name of my company that runs the John Campea Show, how this works, okay? But just so you're aware of this. And again, Ryan, thank you so much for that. That's incredibly generous of you. But here's the thing. When you donate money like you just did in the Super Chat, when you tip in and support the channel, that money doesn't actually come to me. Now, follow me here, because I know it's going to seem like it kind of does, but that money doesn't actually come to me. That money goes to the company. Well, John, isn't it your company? Yes, but there's a very, very big distinction. Because the company pays for everything, right? It pays Rob's salary. It pays Ray's salary. It pays Jonathan's salary. It pays my salary. Yeah, I have a salary that I get paid. I have a fixed amount, a salary that I get paid every month from the company. And it's the same salary every month. Same as Rob gets, same as Chris gets, same as Jonathan gets, same as Ray gets. We all get a salary every month, and that all comes from the company. I cannot just treat the company's bank account like it's my own bank account, because that's really not good. You can't do that. You can't do that. For tax reasons, you can't do that. So my company is incorporated, and so when you send in money, it actually goes to the company, and I can't take extra money out so I can go get a hot toy. Even if that's what you sent it in for, I can't use it for that. So yeah, and I'll let you guys know. I'll tell you, I'm not going to tell you what I pay individual people, because that's a violation of their privacy. But I will tell you that between Rob, Ray, Jonathan, and Chris, I think every month I'm paying about $24,000 every month. I think Carson Drive Media, I think our company, we pay out, just for those guys, I think we're paying out $24,000 a month in salaries. It's expensive to do what we do, and that's why, because Rob works full time with us. Jonathan works full time with us. Ray works full time with us. You have to pay them full time salaries, and that's expensive. So like and then we have The Office is $4,000 a month. And it's only that cheap because we're out in Riverside. If we were in LA, that same office would probably cost me $8,000 to $12,000 a month. But like, there's that, there's the offices, then there's my own salary. I got to pay my own salary too. And then I got to pay all of our various licenses. And then I got to pay, oh my God, you guys don't even want to know what I got to pay in taxes. So that's why, like, when we get all excited that we're able to bring on new sponsors and things like that, and when you guys support, see, that's why at the end of every episode of the John Campea Show, when I say big special thank you to you guys who sent in those super chats, number one, because you gave us great fun things to talk about, and number two, you supported this channel as you did it. Like, people keep asking us to have, oh, John, add this person and add that person and add this person and add that person. And by the way, Christian Harloff is going to start coming in on Tuesdays. So Christian's going to become kind of a regular on the channel. But I got to pay him too, because I pay people for their time. I think that's important. I think that's respectful. I think that's the way you should do things. You should pay people for their time. But yeah, it's expensive. And that's part of the reason why it's very important that when sponsors give us money, it doesn't come to me, it goes to the company. When you are super generous and you send in super chats and stuff like that, it doesn't actually come to me, it goes to the company, and then everything is paid out of the company from there. So it's but I'm giving you guys like a lot of information about how the behind the scenes thing here works, but I just figured you guys deserve to know. But yeah, it's expensive to do what we do, man. It's expensive to do what we do. All right. But thank you for that, Ryan. Thank you for supporting us on that level. It really means a lot to us. So thank you so much for that. All right. Let's see here. Next up, we have Mitchell Keene, who writes, I feel like the action in Spidey movies haven't reached its potential of awesomeness since Sam Raimi directed the films. No Way Home had good fights, but were a bit too short for my liking. Do you agree? I don't know that I agree. I mean, it's been different types of action. But like, for example, like the Doctor Strange multiverse fight with Spider-Man. That was really cool. So, I mean, I think I might prefer the action and at least in Spider-Man 2, but I wouldn't say there's a noticeable drop off. I mean, I mean that's an interesting observation, Mitchell. But I don't know that I fully agree. I think it's definitely different. It's more experimental. By the way, long action scenes does not necessarily equal good action scene. The length of an action scene does not determine whether it's good or not, at least not to me. But yeah, I think the best action in any live action Spider-Man movie has been in Spider-Man 2. And that was a Sam Raimi one. So I'll agree with you there. All right. Thanks for writing that in, Mitchell. Up and Adam writes, how hard did you laugh in Clerks 2 when Randall bashes Lord of the Rings compared to Star Wars? One of my favorite parts from one of my favorite movies. I love Clerks 2. It is one of my top 20 favorite movies of all time. There's only one return, and it's of the Jedi. Yeah, I love that movie. I love almost everything about it. It's a very, very special movie to me. And yes, that scene is absolutely hilarious, Up and Adam. I love that moment. All right. Jess Lath writes, have you seen the extended versions of Everything Everywhere All at Once? I have not. No. Again, I'm not actually very big on extended scenes and director's cuts. To me, what was presented in the theater is the definitive version of the movie. That's what the movie is. So I'm not really big on that kind of stuff. So even though Everything Everywhere All at Once is my favorite movie of the year, I don't actually feel all that anxious to run out and see the extended scenes, which is kind of weird. So no, I haven't seen it, but I've heard it's pretty good. But again, I'm not all that excited to run out and see it. It's already my favorite movie of the year. All right. Wade O'Neill writes, Tiered League would be great for American football. Would love to see the New York Jets expelled from the NFL. I mean, here's the one hard part, though. It means you need a lot more teams, right? If you were to create a tiered league, you need a whole bunch more teams. And that becomes a little bit problematic. But I'll tell you what, Wade, I'm all for it. I love this idea of tiered leagues. I love it. That's one of the things I think soccer has over all the other sports. I would love to see it. I don't know how you do it, but I would love to see it. All right. DMP762 writes, there was so much to unpack in the last episode of House of the Dragon, but when the episode was over, all I could think about was the last action scene. If you're talking about Damon's attack, I love that scene. I mean, Damon, we talked about it on the after show. Damon thought he was going to die. To Damon, that was a suicide mission. He was fully intended that he was going to die in that attack, just to stick it to his brother, right? He didn't want to be shown up by his brother. He didn't want his brother having to come and save him. And he was so committed to that. He was totally willing to go in there and die to do what he had to do. But, you know, hey, it worked out. It was a great episode. This whole show is just killing me, man. This show is killing it right from the first episode through the third. I cannot wait for the next one. Super, super stoked for it. All right. Let's see. Next up is Shuaib Kasim, who writes, I apologize if I'm mispronouncing your name, man. Hot take. DC doesn't need to emulate the Marvel model to be successful. Just focus on filmmaker-driven trilogies that will stand the test of time. I mean, yes and no. Yes and no. I will agree, and I have said this for years, DC does not need to follow any formula. Fuck the formula. You don't need to follow Marvel's formula. You have to do standalone movie, standalone movie, standalone movie, standalone movie, team movie. Standalone movie, standalone. You don't have to, I mean, it worked for them. That formula worked for them. It did. But that doesn't mean that that's what everybody has to do, or that it would even work for everybody else, right? What Warner Brothers is doing right now, I actually find very refreshing. That they have a shared cinematic universe, but they also have these creative storytellers come in to tell their own separate stories. Now, here's the thing, though. If you try to have a shared cinematic universe, you cannot let filmmakers come in and just call their own shots. You cannot be filmmaker driven if you want to have a shared cinematic universe. That's what got Warner Brothers in trouble in the first place. Because all of a sudden, you've got all these filmmakers doing their own vision, but they're supposed to be existing in the same world, and that causes problems. You need a Kevin Feige to be the creative visionary of everything, and then let filmmakers work within that vision. But that's why I like Warner Brothers having separate movies outside of their cinematic universe, like a Joker, like The Batman with Matt Reeves, that says, okay, this is isolated from all those other movies. Now you can kind of go and be filmmaker driven with those individual things. I love the idea that you can do both. You don't have to pick one or the other. You can do both. And I really hope they're able, listen, the new ownership of Warner Brothers has inherited a total mess from the previous ownership of Warner Brothers. Here's really hoping they can get that whole thing straightened out too. All right. Thanks for sharing that, man. I appreciate it. Okay. Next, Screen Talk writes, have you heard of the comedy group, the 85 South? No, I can honestly say I've never heard of them, my man. All right. Tall Dude 3231 writes, hey, John, just got to hotel for D23 weekend. Very nice. Will you be meeting fans at D23 after Marvel's panel or even later? Love the shows and the team. Take care. Right now we haven't decided. It's possible that pay attention, keep a close eye on the community tab on the channel and on my social media, my Twitter handle. It is possible that maybe Saturday night, after we do the panel, if we get into the panel, once we do the panel and we do our live stream talking about the panel, that we might say, hey guys, listen, me and Rob will be at the Fish and Fryer Bar. I don't know any names of the bars down there. From 8 to 10 p.m. If you want to come down, say hi, take a picture, whatever, that's where we'll be. So keep an eye on our social media. And we might just be too tired to do it, but we might do that. So keep an eye on my social media and on the community tab on the YouTube channel for us to make those announcements. And we will let you guys know if we're going to do a little meet and greet there. All right, thanks for writing that in, man. I appreciate that. Let's see. That was Tall Dude. Next up, Jamie Sundays writes, I stopped watching MCU after Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. To me, it got a little nerdy, where I couldn't really understand or follow the MCU storyline. I'll tell you what, Jamie Sundays, I told people that as they started getting more and leaning more into multiverse stuff, do you guys not remember me saying that I think you're going to start to have people falling away a little bit because it's getting a little bit too convoluted. The multiverse stuff is a little bit too inside baseball. One of the most brilliant things that Kevin Feige had done with the MCU up until this point, in my opinion at any rate, is that every single Marvel movie had been a potential entry point for a brand new fan. You didn't have to watch anything before watching Guardians of the Galaxy to be able to watch it, get it, and enjoy it. You didn't have to watch anything before Civil War. Civil War was a lot of people's first Marvel film. They would come in, watch it, totally understand what was going on, and get it. Yeah, if you watch the other Marvel movies, you had a better understanding of it, but nobody was lost. In this new era, like Doctor Strange: The Multiverse of Madness is not an entry point. It's just not. Thor: Love and Thunder is not an entry point movie. Loki was not an entry point kind of show. And I said, I've been saying for a while, Jamie, that we're going to start to hear people say exactly what you just said. That this is all now feeling a little too inside baseball for me. This is feeling a little bit nerdy for me. I feel like this isn't being made for me anymore. And again, I don't think that's going to lead to the downfall of the MCU. Don't misunderstand me. But it's a problem. It is a problem that I hope they're able to rectify. Anyway, Jamie, hey, listen, make sure you watch Shang-Chi, though, because I think Shang-Chi is the best thing they've done in this phase. All right. Next up, that was Jamie. We've got Nikita Mohanan, who writes, any idea when we are getting the official Avatar 2 trailer? 3-month mark is coming up. Thoughts on Armageddon Time and the Sun trailers? Love both. I'm not sure what we were talking. I don't know about either of those trailers. As far as Avatar, I fully expect we're getting a new trailer for Avatar at D23. The big Saturday panel, people forgetting this, the big panel on Saturday is not just Marvel. It's Marvel, and it's Star Wars, and it's the Fox films. So I think I would put $1. I mean, I have no guarantees, and I haven't heard anybody tell me this, but I would be surprised if we don't get a new Avatar trailer at D23. I think we're going to get a new Avatar trailer this Saturday. All right. Alan Ling writes, John, excited for D23 tomorrow. Going to sleep soon to get a good night's sleep for the con. I hate waking up early. Can't wait to meet you and Rob if you guys have a meetup. Well, listen, Alan, I mean, I'm glad you're down there. Rob and I are going to be heading out there tomorrow. And remember, you might just see us walking around. And if you see us walking around, feel free to come up and say hi. We love meeting guys from there. So have a good night's sleep tonight. Hope you have a great day out tomorrow. I think Rob and I will probably be getting into Anaheim probably around, I'm going to guess 3 o'clock, probably around 3 p.m. in the afternoon. We're staying in the hotel that's directly connected to the convention center there, so we're going to be right there on the scene. So if you see us, Alan, whether we do a meet and greet or not, make sure you come up and say hello. All right. Next up, Greg Scott Bailey writes, I got a Sony a6400 now. Nice. I've got many of those cameras. I love those cameras. Haven't had the chance to test it out yet. Hopefully this weekend. Sony and other brands should cut you a commission from the gear I've purchased thanks to your channel. Well, thank you for that, Greg. And hey, by the way, listen, down in the description of all of our videos is you know what? I need to update the gear list because we have a few new things. But if you're ever interested in a lot of the gear that we use, go into the description of any of our videos. There's a full gear list that we use, and we've got links for all of them, and those are all Amazon links. So when you actually click on those links and buy stuff from Amazon, we actually get a little bit of a kickback from that. So just so you're aware of that. Anyway, I think you're going to love, especially if it's your first mirrorless camera, Greg, I think you're going to have a really, really good time with that camera. I would also then say, once you get your footing with the camera, you probably got the one that came with the kit lens, right? Kit lens is perfectly good. But once you get a feel for the camera, I would highly recommend picking up a prime lens, one of the Sigma prime lenses. They're the cheapest, but they are amazing. The 15 millimeter one, or it might be 16 millimeter. It's either 15 or 16 millimeter. The 30 millimeter and their 50 millimeter ones. Those three, I've got all three of them. They're fantastic. They cost a couple $100 each, but pick one that's the right focal length for you, and I think that's when the camera really sings, is when you got one of those prime lenses with it. All right, I'm glad you got that, Greg. All right, Ben Elman writes, Rick Davies' review of Weird Al movie says, bonkers and hilarious, calls Daniel Radcliffe awesome in the role, excited to see this. Yeah, Eric's actually a friend of mine. Eric Davies from Fandango, he's actually a friend of mine. I've actually had him on my shows before. I think back when I was at AMC, I had him as a guest on a couple of times. He's like one of the OG online film guys. Here's something neat. You know what I'm doing Tuesday? I'm meeting Weird Al Yankovic on Tuesday. You guys have heard me tell stories that I've been at like parties and events with him like 7 different times, but I've always been too scared to go up and introduce myself. Well, my wife got us tickets to a Weird Al show on Tuesday night, and she bought us the backstage. She got us backstage meet and greet tickets. So I am actually finally going to meet Weird Al on Tuesday. Super excited about it. Can't wait for it. Really excited. All right. Let's see. Next up. That was Ben. Now we've got Kevin Morales, who writes, saw the 9-minute Andor feature on Disney Plus. So good. So jazzed to see this show. It has the DNA of old Star Wars, in my opinion. They showed us that 9-minute thing. For those of you who went to go see Rogue One at when it re-released here, they played that 9-minute feature before Rogue One. It's incredible. I think this show has the potential to be better than Mandalorian. And you guys know I love Mandalorian. I think this Andor show has all the potential in the world to be better than The Mandalorian. So whether it is or not, we'll have to wait and see. but I'm very, very excited for it. That preview looked really good. All right. Just Plain Steve writes, a little late to the show. Any talk of the Picard and Black Adam trailers, or are you saving them for the show tomorrow? Well, I did speak about the Black Adam trailer a little bit earlier. We'll probably talk about it on the John Campea Show tomorrow. I wasn't personally very impressed with it. I didn't see the trailer for Picard, though, so I can't really speak to that. I was not impressed with the Black Adam trailer. Again, what I said earlier was that trailer, this is the third trailer. They're calling it the second, but it really is the third trailer. This third trailer didn't tell me a single thing about the movie that I didn't already know from the first trailer. So to me, I was personally underwhelmed by it. But we'll talk about it more on the John Campea Show tomorrow. Good to have you here, Just Plain Steve. All right. Next up, guys, you might be able to tell my voice is going. I'm having a hard time with my voice. You know what? Let me take a quick break here. Give me 1 minute to at least go and refill my drink. My throat is going, and right now I don't know that I'm going to be able to finish the rest of the questions. But I'm going to try because you guys were kind enough to send them in, so I want to get to them. So will you guys give me a moment? It's midnight my time. Give me a moment to just run and grab a drink or something, and just give me like a minute, and I will be right back. All right, guys, and we're back. I went and refilled my, I just got water here. See if I can keep my throat working so we can power through the last bunch of questions that we have. Okay. Let's see here. Next up, we have Random Ryan, who writes, have you seen they made a Spirit Halloween movie? This is really an artistic project or a unique marketing tool. I didn't believe it was real. A Spirit Halloween. I'll be honest with you, Random Ryan, I have no idea what we're talking about. I don't know what Spirit Halloween is, to be honest with you. I don't know if that's any of you guys in the live chat know what we're talking about? I'm just looking over to the live chat, see if you guys know what Random Ryan is talking about. Nobody? No thoughts? No ideas? Spirit pop-up store. Oh, like the Halloween stores that pop up every year at Halloween. They're making a movie about that? Really? Yo, wait a minute. Time out. I did hear about that before. Good question. Is it an artistic project or a unique marketing tool? I don't want to be pessimistic, but it sounds to me like a marketing tool. Might be wrong. Maybe it truly is an artistic passion. But the sounds of it sounds like a marketing tool, but who knows? Maybe it'll be something special. All right. Thank you, everybody in the live chat, for letting me know that. Okay, next up. Maria Espino writes, do you think that there could be a Top Gun TV series for HBO Max? No. I could see Miles Teller heading that with some Tom Cruise cameos, and having Cruise executive produce would bring in a lot of subs. No, it wouldn't. And I'll tell you why it wouldn't. Remember we were talking about Top Gun Maverick a minute ago? Without all the aerial stuff, you don't actually have much of a movie there. You have them replicating, you have them having Rooster do everything that his dad did. Same mustache, same hair, same Hawaiian shirt. You shake my nerves and you rattle my brain. Bum, 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 bum. Like, it's just, all they were doing was copying the first movie. And then you have that really one nice little scene with Maverick and Iceman, but really, without all the aerial stuff, you have an okay movie, right? Top Gun Maverick minus the insanely awesome aerial stuff is just an okay movie. You can't do all that aerial stuff with a TV series. I mean, to do a 2-hour movie, they shot 800 hours of aerial footage with cooperation from the Navy and the military and all that kind of stuff. So you wouldn't be able to afford to do that for a TV series. That's way too cost prohibitive. So you can't do that. You can't keep fighting an unnamed enemy every week. And I'll be honest with you, I don't think people are particularly interested in Top Gun if Tom Cruise isn't attached. I really don't. So yeah, I don't see, it's cost prohibitive. It would be a Top Gun show where 90% of the show wouldn't be in airplanes. So it's not really Top Gun. And it wouldn't have Tom Cruise. So I don't know that many people would be interested in it. So I got to say, I mean, you never know. You never know, Maria. But my guess is that such a project wouldn't happen. And if it did, I don't think a lot of people would honestly be interested in it because it wouldn't be anything like the movie. So that's just kind of my thought right now. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm dead wrong on that. But that's just kind of my thought off the top of my head. Okay. Jedediah Elias writes, discussing film reports that a sequel to Inside Out is in the works, and I am hyped. I can't wait to see what other surprises we'll get at D23 this weekend. I don't know that I believe that. I just don't see... I mean, listen, I love Inside Out. Absolutely love that movie. I don't know that I see them doing a sequel to it. I mean, they very well could. Discussing film is hit and miss. You know, I read Discussing Film. I use them on the show quite a bit. I'll quote them quite a bit on the show. I mean, not as much as Variety or The Hollywood Reporter or Joe Blow or things like that. But I use Discussing Film once in a while. But I don't know that I would trust their source on that. It's not about whether I trust them. It's about whether or not I trust their source. So I don't know. But hey, if they do, great. I mean, I'll go see it. I love Inside Out. I think it's incredible. All right. Let's see. Where are we at? That was Jedediah. Nariman writes, I think She-Hulk is hilarious, but other people don't, and that's okay. I love the silly cartoon Parks and Rec, Rick and Morty type humor, and others don't. Listen, I personally really do like the humor in She-Hulk. I think it's funny. I didn't find this 4th episode tremendously funny. Again, other than the end credit scene when they're watching This Is Us. You know, I could absolutely watch an entire thing with, what's the girl's name again? With two N's and a Y, but not where you think. What her name wasn't Marilyn. What was it again? It wasn't Mandy. It wasn't Marilyn. Was it Madison? Madison, yeah. Madison, that's with 2 N's and a Y, but not where you think. Yeah, I could watch an entire, and thank you, by the way, to Mista and Arun and Revolving and Ram for writing that. Madison, I could watch an entire episode of just Madison and Wong hanging out and talking through some classic TV shows. I'd be totally down for that. This episode didn't do it for me, but episodes 1, I actually find quite funny, and I enjoy the humor too. I do. I know it's not for everybody. There are some people who are just like, it's a girl. And then there are some people who are just like, comic book movies shouldn't have comedy. Whatever. And then there are a bunch of people who just were excited about She-Hulk and they watched it and they want it to be good, but they're just not finding it very funny. Totally get it. Humor is a very subjective thing. But I am with you. I actually find it pretty funny. Except for this last episode. This last episode I didn't find very funny, but that's just one episode. All right. Where are we at? Are we at Chris? No, we're at Fernando, who writes, thank you for giving the Campea fandom a last-minute show, even though you didn't have to. You are appreciated. God bless the Queen. Yeah, I mean, listen, I've kind of been looking for an excuse or an opportunity to do a After Dark again, and I thought today would be a particularly good day because I wasn't on the show earlier when I was supposed to be on the show. Sorry, guys, my voice is almost gone. We've been going over 2 hours, or at least going on 2 hours. Where was I? Oh yeah. So especially since I was supposed to be on the show earlier today and then I wasn't there. So I kind of feel like I needed to do a makeup show for that. But anyway, no, I love doing these. I love having a chance to just sit down very casually, especially now with my new little work setup. I like my new little work setup. Actually, let me see if I can find this. I think I can. Give me 1 second. I don't know if you guys saw this or not, but I will show you the picture of where I'm sitting right now. Let me see if I can get this up on the screen. I hope I can. Yeah, this is where I'm sitting right now. I just today finally got, because, I took all of my equipment and all of my gear to the office. So that's where all my stuff is. So I haven't been able to do, if I've had any work that I've needed to do, I need to go get in my car, drive to the office and do my work there. So I finally decided to set up a little corner in our theater room, just a little corner in our theater room where I could do some work and do some live streaming. And I just got this set up today. So that is where I'm sitting right now. And so I thought, you know what? I wasn't on the show earlier today like I was supposed to be. I've got a little bit of time right now. And I got my new streaming setup, my home streaming setup all put together now. So I thought, why not do it tonight? So I'm glad that we did. And I'm glad that you're here too, Fernando. All right. Next up, we've got Chris Warden, who writes, where do we go? Evening, John. Did you hear about the backstage rails at the UFC 279 presser? Luckily, Dana White was able to shut it down, but that could have gotten ugly really fast. No, I didn't hear about any behind-the-scenes drama. I've heard about the behind-the-scenes drama at AEW, but I haven't heard about any. I haven't heard about any of the drama after UFC 279, the presser. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, are we talking about which one was 279, the one that just happened or the one that's about to happen? I lose track of the numbers. If it's the one that just happened, I didn't hear. Oh, Shreya Van Hollen got into it. Really? Oh, that was today. That was today. That's why I haven't heard about this. I've been locked in on football and, the Queen, football, and Rings of Power, and now their show. So, no, I am instantly going to have to, when we're done the stream here, I'm going to have to jump online and look that up and find out what's going on there. Thanks for putting that on my radar, Chris. Appreciate that, man. All right. Gabriel Roca writes, John, do you ever watch the Apple keynotes? Yes, I do. I watch all of them. I watch all the Apple keynotes. Even when my main computers are PCs, I'm always watching the Apple keynotes. And right now, all my computers happen to be Macs. Like in my office, I've got a Mac Studio Ultra. Right now here, I have a M1 Max MacBook Pro as my computer on my desk. I'm using an iPhone right now, blah, blah. But our main computer running our studio is a PC. But yeah, regardless, when my main computer is a PC, when my main computer is an Apple, when I'm using Android phones or when I'm using Apple phones, I've always watched the Apple keynotes. Always. I didn't think this one was all that great, to be honest with you, but I do watch all the Apple keynotes. Okay. Logan Hoyne writes, Planet of the Apes news at D23 Fox Film. Yeah, I'm thinking there will be. See, that's the thing. I think some of the bigger surprises will be the non-Star Wars and non-Marvel stuff. Like, we're going to get some big bombs with Marvel and Star Wars. Absolutely. But that's where everybody's attention is. Right? Everybody's attention is there. I think we're going to get some really big stuff out of the Fox thing. I really do. All right. Next up, Rob McDonald writes, do you have any anticipation for Spielberg's new film, The Fabelmans? I'm really looking forward to it, and I'm seeing it Sunday at TIFF. Here's the thing. Not really, but I felt the same way about West Side Story. And I ended up thinking West Side Story was the best movie of the year. This Fabelmans movie is a very personal project for him. It's a very clearly a pet project of his that he has a lot of emotional connection to it, obviously. So I wouldn't be surprised if it ends up being the best movie of the year. Even if right now I don't have a lot of excitement going into it. But again, I felt the same way about West Side Story and it ended up being my favorite film of the year. So I'm kind of jealous that you're going to get to see it, man. I cannot wait to hear the reviews coming out for it. All right. And then after that, it's just a couple Super Chat badges sent in to us by The Richard. Thank you, The Richard. And Carolina 29593 sent in like a $20 Super Chat badge just to be supportive. And guys, it's a good thing because my voice is out. I think that'll do it for us. For the stream. You know what? I'm going to take another minute or two. I'm just going to look for you guys in the live chat here. see if you guys have anything you want to bring up a last second. Just make sure you type my name, John Campea, in the comment so that it pops up in an orange box for me so I see what I'm doing. I'm going to just take another minute here. Casual. See if you guys have anything to say or ask quickly here before we sign off tonight. Khan is writing, thoughts on the new Apple Watch. Way too expensive. No watch should be that expensive. No smartwatch should be that expensive. Tucker is saying twerk. No, I don't think I'm going to do that. Bird Dog says he became a director level. Thank you, Bird Dog. I appreciate that very much. John Welsh said, quick thoughts on Rings of Power episode 3. I talked a bunch about it already a little bit earlier in the stream, so maybe once we're done, just kind of zip back a little bit. I liked it. I liked it. I think the show's finally starting to pick up a little bit of pace, but it's still quite slow. I really need to see that pace pick up. Matt Sicker says, how many super chats will it take for you to name name? No. I'll never do that. Never, ever will I do that. Let's see here. Cameron's saying, love the show. Thank you, man. I appreciate that very much. Let's see. Will you be on the show tomorrow? Boondock98 is asking. Yes, I am going to be on the show tomorrow. But not for the whole show. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of weird. I am going to be on the show I'm going to be on the show tomorrow for the off the tops and main topic number 1. So here's how tomorrow's show is going to go. It's going to start off with me, Rob, and Amy. And then we're going to get through the off the tops and then main topic number 1. And then after main topic number 1, I'm going to tag in Chris, who will then take over the show for me. And then she will run the rest of the show. So she'll look after main topics number 2, 3, 4, and 5. And because at that point I need to leave and start getting the kit. I got to actually tear down my new work setup here at home because I got to bring a bunch of it with me to Anaheim so we can do a live stream about the presentation on Saturday. So I need a little extra time to do that. So I will be on the show at least for a little bit of tomorrow. See, Parker Burns says you'd probably like Cobra Kai in a parallel universe. I wish I liked it. There was nobody more excited for that show than I was when it was first coming out, but it's just not for me. That's all. Really simple, just not for me. Timothy Webster sends in like a $50 super chat. Timothy, thank you so much, man. I appreciate that. Just send it in to be supportive. I appreciate that, man. All right, guys, listen, that'll do it. My voice is gone. It really hurts now. That'll do it for us for tonight. Thank you so much. Guys, do me a favor. When the video's over, jump into the comments. Let me know if you like these. Are these fun? Are these enjoyable? Do you like us having live streams later in the evening? Was this just a big waste of time? I mean, let me know what you think and give me your thoughts. I'd love to hear from you. And guys, thanks so much for joining me tonight. This has been a lot of fun. These are a little bit more relaxed and laid back than the main shows when I'm in studio. So I really like doing this. Thanks to you, everybody. And a big, again, you know what I'm going to say. Big special thank you to you guys who sent in the super chats. Number 1, because you did give us great things to talk about. But number 2, you supported our channel as you did it. And all of us involved with the channel, thank you guys so much for that support. All right, guys, that will do it for me. Thanks a lot for being here. My name's John Campea. And until next time, my friends, bye-bye.